So when we talk about nutritional literacy, it's a fancy way of saying improving the way we understand and perceive our food. Can we factor and discern thirst, hunger, fatigue, and all of those other variables, i.e. we're trying to create a good relationship with food and manipulate our body composition in a desired way. Lose fat, build muscle, look and feel great. Let's get into it. Talking MyFitnessPal, Alex Connor here, your physique coach. I help people look and feel good naked, i.e. you, and I do it because I'm a real coach, not an influencer, and I work with real people. This video on MyFitnessPal is going to be better because it's going to be shorter, quicker, and more effective than all the others you watch. So I've made some key points. We're going to get to the juice so you guys can just apply it, learn it, and get to it. So the first thing we need to look at is why are we even doing MyFitnessPal? Well, the first thing is we're trying to create an awareness and we're tracking our food to manipulate our body composition. So when we talk about nutritional literacy, it's a fancy way of saying improving the way we understand and perceive our food. Can we factor and discern thirst, hunger, fatigue, and all of those other variables, i.e. we're trying to create a good relationship with food and manipulate our body composition in a desired way. Lose fat, build muscle, look and feel great. Let's get into it. So the first point is it's free. You don't need to pay for it. So I'll put some screen grabs and some of the graphics here to make it fun and engaging so you can kind of follow along as well. You can pay for it. It's just not necessary because honestly, you don't need those extra features. And if you know how to use it, which I'm going to show you to do, you don't need to pay for it. So it's completely free, just like this information. I've got nothing to sell you. Now, don't use necessarily their recommendations if you want to be on the better side of physique enhancement, i.e. you want to maximize the way you look and feel. They're not bad. If you're just an average Joe and you're just starting out, you don't really care, then fair enough, follow their recommendations. But if you want to maximize the way you look and feel, you want to go to any calorie calculator or DM me, I'll help you how to do it. It's really easy. You can literally go 2 grams per lean mass of body weight in your protein. For fat, you can do 1 gram per lean body mass, 1 to 2 grams if you want to be a bit more lenient, or you can even do your actual body weight as well, and then carbohydrate, fill in the gaps depending if you're really highly active or if you're sedentary, i.e. you don't move a lot. But it doesn't matter how many formulas you do, you've got to start with something and then be consistent, because even if the formulas tell you you require these amount of calories and your goal is to lose weight and you're not actually losing weight on those calories, you need to move more or eat less. Simple. Now, the next thing is weighing. So how are we going to do this? Buy some cheap scales. You can guess all you like, but you need to understand the weighing. It's kind of like when you first learned to ride a bike, you didn't just get on there and ping it, right? You started with stabilizers and you fell off a few times, and that's going to happen. So if you use scales, it's going to help you hone that skill faster. Grams, mils, okay? Unless you want to do pounds and you want to do other metrics, I would highly recommend grams and mils. Are just really easier rather than ounces, etc. And other measurements which are just way too ambiguous, and serving sizes. So for example, if you get a protein bar and it's like, this is a serving, scan it, double check it, don't take it for granted because you might be surprised. The more you do this, the better you get. If you can standardize it, you'll go, all right, this particular spoon here, when I fill this up, bang, negative weigh. You can put the peanut butter jar on the actual scales, you can zero it, you take out 20 grams or so it says, and you look at it and you go, right, well, now I know what 20 grams looks like, and thereabouts you are in. Now, if you're in comp prep, you've got to be super, super specific, but most of you aren't, so as long as you're in the ballpark, you are fine, don't stress it. The next one is standardized entries. So what's that? Because when you search something in, you go, oh, but Alex, there's a million entries for this. Yes, there is. So what you can do is you can use an acronym called NUTTAB, N-U-T-T-A-B, or USDA. They're just standardized entries. They're big acronyms for food companies that basically standardize whole foods or ambiguous entries, i.e. foods that don't have a label on them, so therefore you can just run with that. Even if you're consistent and you're using an entry that was slightly wrong, it wouldn't matter, because if you work to that standard, then that is going to be your consistent. So keep it simple and use common sense. And the only way you're going to do that is by actually tracking over time, because it's called rare sense now and we need to get it better. So ultimately, the more you do it, the better you get. It's like anything. If you want to get better at something, practice it more with more skill. Cooked versus uncooked. Make sure you get cooked versus uncooked right, because they are tremendously different, especially when it comes to meat and grain foods, because obviously they expand and they swell. So ideally, it's up to you. I think uncooked is more accurate, but depends on how you're doing it. If you're batching it, you might do uncooked. If you're weighing it and it's already cooked and you're just having 1 or 2 meals, then I would just go with cooked. But again, just make sure that you've got the right entry, because you don't want to have something cooked and you weighed it uncooked and then you're like, there's a calorie discrepancy and you wonder why you're not losing weight. It's because you've been tracking wrong. Most of the time, it's not that you're not eating the calories you think, it's that you're mistracking your calories, and that's why you're not losing weight, gaining muscle, or whatever else it is you're trying to do. And it's probably one of those two things, because generally there's not much else that you can do apart from a bit of recomp, but we won't go down that path. Now, track before you eat. So say you're going out to a restaurant or you're tracking a meal that you're having and you've gone over any calories. You go, oh fuck, I've blown out now, I've had too much fat. Well, if you track it before you eat it and you keep a running total throughout the day on MyFitnessPal, and you bring up the dashboards, which is easy enough to do, you can look at your totals, you can look at your calorie averages, you can look at your protein, fat, and carbs. If you put it in, you already know, so you can plan ahead, so therefore you're not putting yourself in a corner. Worst case scenario, you can talk about calorie borrowing from the next days, but we won't get into that on this video, because again, it's kind of like money. You don't want to get yourself too far in debt, because you're going to be in trouble. So track before you put it in your gob. Easy. Right. Tracking out, everyone asks me, Alex, how do I track out? Well, you just get better by doing it. So the more you track in, i.e. the food you control, the more you look at them, the more you know, that's 200 grams of chicken, that's 100 grams of rice, that's this, that's this, that's this. You can identify food. When you go outside and you go to a restaurant, you can look at a plate and go, right, that's X amount of protein, that's X amount of carbohydrates, that's X amount of, fat, or a bit of both. And then you can always then think about, well, that chef isn't tracking the food, so there's probably oil in there. If it tastes good, there's probably X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna jack everything up. Key thing is to overestimate it. Identify, whoops, don't break the joint. Identify the protein, fat, and carbs that's on your plate, and then overestimate them if you're unsure. And next time you weigh said food out, have a look at it and go, oh, actually I was way off. But you only get better by doing it. So don't stress about it. Live your life, do the best you can, because ultimately 20% of the knowledge is 80% of the job, and you'll get better at it over time. And if you keep going out and eating, you're putting on weight, either overestimate the food or stop eating out as often.
So just gone out on a Sunday and enjoyed some eggs on toast at Tart in Burleigh. Wondering how we track this one? I will show you. So the app that I personally use is MyFitnessPal. I've been using it for about a year and it tracks everything perfectly. Very simple way of doing this. I've already done it for you. So I've done my 2 eggs. I had a little bit of butter. I did have multigrain and sourdough because I like a little bit of variety in my diet as well. And pretty much what I've done is I've put in the equivalents of what I've had, and what it does at the end of the day is it also spits out the macronutrients, and that way I can change what I need to still be within my calorie target for the day.
Control, understanding, guesswork, results. What am I talking about here? So again, we're taking control. We're trying to understand what we're putting in our body by removing the guesswork. So a lot of people either just go, I want to lose weight, and they just starve themselves and cut out carbs and cut out loads of food, silly, or they just do the opposite when they're trying to bulk and they eat everything. That's a very, very binary, silly approach, because you're just going on 2 extremes of the spectrum. What if you just took an approach where you didn't have to do either? What if you took an approach which was a little bit more balanced? So again, if you track, you could be losing weight, eating more calories, or you could be gaining on eating less food. That way you're just giving yourself a bit of heads up, and you're giving yourself a little bit of control in terms of, depending on what you want, you can manipulate it. Do you want to lose fat? Do you want to gain muscle? Remove the guesswork, guys. Stop guessing. You don't have to. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you've got any questions or queries, let me know. That one was pretty fast, but again, you don't want to be searching for these 20-minute videos on MyFitnessPal. If you want to learn more, click the links in my bio. I can guide it for you. I can give you tailored meal plans, exactly what you like, shopping lists. I can help you do it for you. I've got even more additional tracking tools that you can partner with MyFitnessPal. And if you've got any other questions that you just can't seem to figure out, hit me up with a DM and I can help you look and feel better naked, because I'm a real coach. I work with real people and I get real results. Check them out. If you like this video, like, comment, share. See you in the next one. Peace. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but that's what the kids do apparently. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video.